Reading is an escape mechanism. Every time I read, like I feel in a different setting, a different like universe.
For me, writing is a form of escapism for me as a reader and readers that I'm making it for.
The best part about writing for me is engaging with a community. I love writing stories, but I wouldn't want to just store those stories away on my laptop and not share it with anybody.
It's freedom of choice for the author to write anything they want. No one's gonna judge them. Like, you can just explore different topics that most people, like those published books, don't do. And I really enjoy that.
I love expressing emotions of my characters that are in my brain, and they're constantly nagging me to write.
I love it. It's like my favorite hobby. Like if I'm not doing like schoolwork or I'm at work, like I'm writing, like it's just so much fun for me to like go to a different world and I don't know, just like use my imagination. It's a lot of fun.
It's like my hobby. Like I do it every day. I can't like just get away from it. It's my imagination, but like not my imagination. It's like someone looking into my mind and just giving me something that I want.
So far, I finished 4 novels on Wattpad, or 5 actually, and I don't think I would have ever finished any of them if I didn't have like people giving me their support as I was writing.
Wattpad gives me a way to connect right away.
Wattpad's changed my life drastically. I'm pretty sure that if I wasn't posting my novels on Wattpad, I probably would not have finished one. And I feel like without the site, the encouragement from readers, the encouragement from just every essence of the site itself, I don't think I would have finished a complete novel.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome on to the Create and Master a Writing Career with Wattpad. I am extremely excited to talk with these panelists because I learned so much about Wattpad by just merging the relationship with them for Black Writers Weekend this year. You know that everything in 2020 has been thrown all off, and everything has now been thrown to social media for our own safety for many reasons. And 2020 has been one for the books for a very long time. It's definitely a new normal going on. And so far, with bringing Black Writers Weekend virtually has been able to allow us to connect with even more people and push the initiative of putting out more diverse stories, celebrating Black creatives, and creating a platform for us to kind of just be great, you know? So I'm really excited to learn about these ladies' journey with Wattpad. Because Wattpad actually offers a lot. A lot is really going on with this brand. And it really is launching careers of writers where they're able to be full-time creatives. And it really is just getting on there and just taking that risk. And so let's go ahead and bring in some of our panelists. So first up, we have Miss Daven McQueen, and I noticed Daven is really young, and so I'm really excited to meet her and tap into her space. Hi, Daven.
Hi, it's actually Daven, but thank you.
Daven.
Yeah.
How are you, ladies?
I'm doing well. Just in my home in Boston.
Oh, are you? Now tell us, how old are you actually?
I'm 23.
23. Oh my gosh, you photographed so young. I was like, oh wow, she's so young. Okay, so 23. So we can do an adult talk. Okay, cool. So no censors. All right, cool beans. Let's go ahead and bring in Angel Marie.
Hilson, yeah. Angel
Miss
Hilson.
Angel. No, Ashley.
Hi.
It's Ashley Marie and Angel Hilson. I'm sorry. Welcome all my ladies. How are you ladies doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, Angel, I love your background, by the way. All the silver and the black.
Thank
I'm
you.
loving
My
it.
daughter's
I feel
helped me
like I'm in
pick
a
this up.
90s video. I love it. And then last but not least, Miss Paula Gill. Welcome on.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, everyone.
Welcome on, Miss Gill. All right,
Thank
I'm going to get
you.
everybody's name correct this evening. How,
No
first of
problem.
all, is everyone safe? Because
Yes.
Laura, she's running rampant down here and she is doing the most. So it's a lot going on down here. So definitely kind of
Sure.
wish us some best wishes down here in the Southeast and along the southern states.
Most
How
definitely.
has 2020 been so far for you guys? How has your energy and your creative spaces been?
Oh, goodness. Where to start?
Oh wow! Okay,
It
well,
has been a
let
rough
me
year.
Yeah, it's been, I know for me, it's been really hard to focus. I can do work in very small bursts, and I finally figured out how to get productive, but it's been really challenging for sure. It's just so much going on, and it's hard not to get very despondent sometimes. But then if you can get into your work, it becomes an escape, and that is so valuable, so tremendously valuable.
I have to agree. I would definitely agree that writing is a really, really good escape,
Mhm.
especially when you can discover a way to profit from it. So, and I know that you ladies have had a phenomenal journey with Wattpad so far. So let's jump into that journey. Take us into how you all kind of got started with this brand.
Well, for me, I moved from Wisconsin to Atlanta, which freed me of my corporate job. So when I got here, I had like all this free time. I decided to write a book because it was just sitting in the shelf of my mind for the longest. And after I wrote the entire book, I was looking for ways to market it and how do I get it out to readers. And as
Right.
I was searching online, Wattpad just kept coming up again and again and again. And then I just learned it was like the largest online reading platform, and it just made so much sense. It has a global reach. And so I decided to upload chapter by chapter and see what would happen. So that's how I started.
Now, Ashley, take us into your writing space. What was that moment like when you first went onto the website and you said, okay, I'll try it, I'll do it. Take us into that moment when you first became introduced to the website.
Oh, okay. Well, I actually joined, I think, in 2016, and I had no idea what to actually put on there. So I was just throwing out a couple ideas, and then it didn't really pick up a lot of traffic, and I wasn't sure where I wanted to go, so I sort of set it aside. So I knew about Wattpad, and I'd been on there and read on there, but hadn't really delved into being a writer until 2019, where I posted my first romance novel on there, which was risky to me anyway, because I was like, it's such a big website. I said, none of my relatives are going to be on it, but I was like, in case someone finds it. But I just decided to post my romance novel, and then slowly it started getting an audience, which was really astounding because there's so much content on there and so many really good stories. I didn't expect it to get much attention at all at first.
And Miss McQueen, was your beginnings something of the same? Take us into your moment.
So I actually joined Wattpad about 10 years ago. It was my freshman year of high school. And I just I'd been writing for a few years at that point, and I wanted a way to share my writing with other people and get critiques and stuff like that. So I joined Wattpad, and I just started posting my writing. So it's been quite a while since I first joined, but I ended up building this really great community of other writers who have become friends, who I still talk to today, who still we read each other's writing, and it's just really great.
Love it. Wow, that's a really, really, really long time. Really, really long time. That's amazing to just keep with it. So it definitely looks like it's played a big part in your creative journey.
I think it's the community.
It's
like the whole community
aspect. Yeah. And so as far as with the community, you guys keep saying that. Take us into that space. Is it safe? Does people kind of openly kind of just become friendly? Is it like a networking type of approach? Take us into what that space kind of looks like.
I can actually speak to that because I'm kind of an edge case, if you will. I actually started writing. I had worked in the entertainment industry and film and TV for a while, and then transitioned to tech, and really missed that creative energy. So I started writing Jane Austen fan fiction just to kind of revive that. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I loved it. I missed those days to some degree. It was just me and my computer and my fan fiction. But I got this idea for a story called The Otherworlders, and in my head, I saw it as a TV show. And I think with my experience, that was very natural. But I knew the realities basically of trying to pitch it as a TV show. And so I really wanted a place where I could explore the idea and maybe get it out to readers. And a friend of mine told me about Wattpad. And so I started posting there. It took a little work because I had to come up with a modified script format because it's not really designed to support traditional screenwriting. But I have to say that at first, readers were a bit confused, but they were also intrigued. And so getting that feedback in the beginning was extraordinarily important because it told me that, okay, I'm doing this really unconventional thing. Everybody else is writing narrative fiction and I'm writing a script, basically a TV show. But people are digging it. You know, they're getting into the story, they're loving the characters. And that really fueled me and kept me going. And then connecting with other writers and kind of understanding their journey and their interests, and then getting incorporated into the sort of more professional level of Wattpad and their community just really kept fueling me, given that I was doing something so different from everyone else.
Right.
Yeah,
Anyone else
the
want to chime
interesting
in?
part. Oh, sure, I will. The interesting part is that readers get to comment line by line if they want on your work, and then you can interact with them and, you know, ask them questions. They can ask you questions. As far as the community aspect, there are like tons of book clubs. There are award competitions. There's like so much that you can do aside from writing that just takes, you know, it'll keep sucking you in and just keep you coming back for it. So for the community aspect, there's like so much more than writing, but it's just finding like like-minded people that can relate to you on whatever topics that you're interested in.
And a question for the audience was really interesting, and I want to kind of dig into this question a little bit more, is about the character developments. With Wattpad being so huge and so many storytellers on this one platform, I can just imagine the amount of the lives that are being birthed and concepts that are being created and shared, and like, don't you kind of get lost in all of that? Like, how as a creator are you able to create a world while being lost and wrapped up in all of these other writers' worlds? Because that's something I also kind of struggle with, trying to write and read at the same time. So take us into that space on your character development and it being so many characters on this one platform.
I would say, I think one of the things is that connection with the reader, and that keeps you grounded in terms of your story, but it's also interesting to be able to hop into another person's story and just kind of understand how they approach character development. And I think somebody said that there are book clubs and there are chances. There's a lot of writers helping writers on the site. And I think that we kind of get to learn from each other, and that keeps you focused. So you'll interact with other writers, you'll kind of get a taste of their work, but then you'll learn from them, and then you'll bring that back and, you know, to your own work. And so I think it works really well in that regard.
What about in you guys' personal creative journeys? Talk about some of the characters that you have developed. What are some of your favorites and how they come about? And Ashley, I'll go with you first.
Okay, you said characters that we've developed?
Yes, your characters.
Okay, so right now I have off script the romance novel, and also I started posting The Last Dragon Shifter, which is a young adult fantasy. And so the lead character is a young Black teenage girl named Naomi. And so that was like very important journey for me, because I talked about this. I've talked about this before about just having those role models growing up. And then also there's so many debates on what type of people can be in fantasy. So she was an important character for me to work on when I started posting that last year, and I'm still working on that at the moment. And the way that she's developed, I think, has been really fun for me.
Miss McQueen, can you tap into some of your characters as well?
Yeah.
What is your favorite and how they come about?
Yeah, so my two favorites are probably two characters, Ethan and Juniper, from my book, The Invincible Summer of Juniper Jones, which started on Wattpad when I was a senior in high school and was published a couple months ago by Wattpad Books. And the story follows a biracial Black teenager who's sent to stay with his family in the South in 1955. And he's in a town that's predominantly white and experiencing a lot of like racism up front and firsthand in a way that he hasn't before. And it was just really interesting to grow this character because he, he was coming to terms with a lot of his identity, trying to figure out how to be Black in America and what that means. And the character is about 14 or 15. At the time that I wrote it originally, I was 17, but when I came back to edit it for publishing, I was 22. And so it was really cool and interesting to go back in this character and kind of see moments of him coming to terms with his identity in ways that lined up with my similar journey. And yeah, just like watching him grow in that way.
Well, I love how, first of all, I love your background. I'm kind of a little bit, I don't know how to decorate or anything like that. And it's just like, it looks so calming. Like I can see everybody's personality behind them. Like Angel was giving me Brandy and Monica, my boys' minds music video feel.
On the side too, so that's weird.
I like it. So let's go into some of the questions from the audience, and then Paul, I'm going to jump to you first.
Okay.
How did you actually begin to build your audience? What do you think was the key for you?
I would say definitely responding to readers. It's very sort of nerve-wracking in the very beginning. To kind of chat with them because, as everyone mentioned, readers have the ability to comment line by line on your story. And so just really engaging with them and then thanking them. The way the platform is set up, everybody has a wall. So, kind of like Facebook or Twitter. And so, or more like Facebook, I guess, but people can post and on your wall, and sometimes they ask questions. So you can kind of interact with them there. And it's really that one-on-one interaction and then connecting with other writers who write similarly to you, I would say. A lot of writers can kind of gain audience by commenting on friends' books and books in the same genre. And so that helped. And then they have a big award called the Waddies, and that
the Waddies.
Raise your profile. So that helped tremendously as well.
Yeah, Paula is right about that. When you comment on other people's work that's similar to yours, somehow some of those readers, they'll read your comment. They may tap into your profile to see what you've written. That was a way that I helped. The whole community aspect is the biggest part of Wattpad. And that was one of the ways that I got my numbers up, was to just stop trying to get people to come to my work and just go out and just, read other people's stuff and add to the conversations they were having. And then naturally people just came back to my profile. So there's like a give and take that goes on there.
So engaging. So it's a very, the more engaging you are, interactive.
Yeah, you can't just put your work out there and set it. You have to, be a part of the community and talk to people and care more about things than just your work. Care about other people's works and try to help other writers. Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense, because I always tell people that there are so many creative people. Like, we all have talent. There's something special about all of us. It's just really discovering it and tapping into it. So, but what really makes you stand out often is the relationships that you build. Like, that's really how you grow and kind of gain some leverage in anything that you want to do, is by building and merging relationships, like you said, is give and take. So that I would have never really thought about that when it comes to Wattpad. So thank you, ladies, for that. I'm actually learning myself. I think I want to put a story on that.
Go for it.
I'm real. I'm gonna come and be y'all friend and be like, y'all come like my story. So, like, for somebody like me who's not quite familiar with the website, and then obviously we talked about the moment when you first joined. Were you nervous when you decided to actually put a story out there?
Oh my God. I was so scared. I was published, then unpublished, and published and unpublished. And
oh my God. You give me anxiety thinking about it.
Yeah. I was 14, so I had like no inhibitions, and I was just like, here we go.
I could just imagine. I could just imagine.
I was on the opposite end. I was
right, and you started
14, and I had all the inhibitions.
Oh wow! So wait, so you were fearless with yours, Paula?
Oh no! I was just the exact opposite of Daven. It's just I was super analytical, and it's like, but what if I don't get comments right away? And how do I go about then? You know, as Angel
so
said,
nobody was confident. Everybody kind of had a little bit of fear, a little bit of resistance.
You just have to dive in there and just see. You just have to try it.
Yeah, and you have to give it time. It doesn't happen right away. So it could be crickets for quite a while, but you keep posting, you keep engaging, and you keep building. And it's like anything else. The world has become so noisy that it gets easy to get discouraged.
Right.
When you don't get that kind of feedback and you don't get that validation. But you have to keep persisting. You just have to keep persisting because
being consistent too.
And being consistent, exactly. Because
what about the not so light and fluffy side of things? Because when you put it out there, when you take risk, it really is about being uncomfortable and kind of being like fearless in that moment. But sometimes, the world isn't, technically perfect. You're not going to experience all great feelings,
Right.
You got to take the good with the bad. So take us into some of those, darker moments, those more dimmer moments where it kind of challenged your confidence and someone didn't like what you wrote. Like, take us into that moment.
For me, I tried to. Go ahead. Oh, I'm just saying to curb the risk, I try to finish the whole work first and then put it out there so then I can just defend it because I know how it's going to end. I know that the journey that my characters take, so I can fully defend it because I already know the ending to it. So I try to cut away some of the risk by doing that, having like a complete work first.
That's kind of smart.
Yeah.
But I think it could be nerve-wracking if you're doing chapter by chapter. Because then it's like you might not know where things are going. And then that's where, I've had some snarky comments on my work and I've had to either defend it or try to see what perspective they're coming in and see if maybe I should incorporate that. But for me, it's scary if I don't have an ending because then I'm like, okay, I don't know where to go with this. Should I stick with what I want or go with what everyone else is telling me to do? So.
Definitely. I've been very fortunate in that I'm not sure why. Maybe I don't have a huge audience because one of the things, I have a good size dedicated audience, but one of the things that you have to come to terms with is as your audience gets bigger, you're just going to get more of those comments. It's just a part of
right. It just comes
writing.
with it.
Exactly. So you have to make that adjustment. And once you make that adjustment, I think you can kind of address those issues. A lot of it is just not to engage if it's trollish, if it's a misunderstanding, you can talk to the reader and things like that. But I have to say I've been very, very fortunate in not getting too many negative comments.
That's because you write good, girl.
It's a start. I'm trying to be friendly. So I always try to be friendly and encouraging. That always helps.
Now, Ms. McQueen, take us into, some of your not so. Have you had many of those moments? Because it's 10 years. I imagine you got to have some experiences that people can learn from.
Yeah, most of my experiences have been constructive feedback, and I love actually having my writing be critiqued by folks. And especially calling out like moments of discomfort, or like, you know, I was writing when I was like 14. There's all kinds of stuff in my stories probably that's like so problematic, and I appreciate people calling that out, or calling out like, oh, like my story that was recently published was set in 1955, and I had a scene where the character was rolling case, and someone commented and was like, hey, actually, like, rolling suitcases weren't invented in 1955. You would have just had like a carrying case. And so I learned a lot in those ways. I think like mainly the negative experiences I've had, I guess, were more kind of trollish and like unhelpful. I had someone, because I was writing about race, and at one point like condemned the Confederate flag, and had someone comment on that chapter being like, how dare you, that's a symbol of my culture.
Wow.
And I was just like, I was like 17, and I was like, I don't know what to do with that. I also once had a person tell me that it was racist that I didn't have, it was a white person, tell me that it was racist that I didn't have more Black characters in one of my stories, and that I should consult other Black people about that. And I was like, I am a Black person. So I had a weird like negative experience.
I know that's right.
But yeah, most of my experiences on the site, especially with constructive feedback and stuff, have been largely positive.
That's pretty good. All right, now Miss Marie,
Mhm.
what have been your experiences?
I haven't had anything that's really like,
Oh, so y'all just all that.
no, like that jarred me necessarily. Like if I agree, being a writer, like you have like people sometimes that you have editors that look at your stuff, you have beta readers that look at your stuff, so you kind of have to get used to people like having an opinion and maybe not necessarily all the opinions that they're writing. And so like if a reader has a different opinion, you know, that's fine with me. But like in terms of like anything where I was like particularly bothered, there hasn't really been anything like that to me, because you just kind of have to like take it and then just like let it roll off your back and keep moving.
Right. And I'm definitely have to agree with you. I think that constructive criticism is really supposed to make you stronger. And what I'm really kind of gathering from just you guys' conversations, that Wattpad is like a safe space for literary artists. It's like you get to perfect your art, your craft over and over again. And that's crazy that this is the case, because I've always called writers artists, because I encourage writers to keep writing, keep reading, keep studying, perfect your craft, because writing is a skill set. It's like an artistry, it's an art form. And it's just like with you can take an example, a singer. Just because they can naturally sing, they have a vocal coach, so they can learn the strengths and the weaknesses of their voice, and be able to control their tone, and maybe find a different level or octave they can go into. I don't know, but I know that it's something that singers do. The same for actors. They know how to maybe naturally make people like laugh and engage, but how do they tap into the emotions? They go to acting class, like they go to perfect those things. So I'm getting that Wattpad is at that space for writers. I'm kind of like I'm just a little bit, and kind of step out there, and it may give me a little bit more discipline in my own writing. I want to throw out a fact here and kind of get you ladies' feedback. The Kissing Booth, which is I just watched part 2 on Netflix just recently. It's a huge sensation on Netflix, and it's a story that was written on Wattpad. And so when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, for real?" Like, well, I'm going out.
I was so proud.
I know.
I was like, Wattpad is creating those type of opportunities. And so not only that, they have captains of publishing. There's Wattpad Books, there's Wattpad Films. So I want to go into you ladies' journey with those divisions. So it's more now to Wattpad and the opportunities that are there. So you start off by just taking that risk, putting out that story, engaging, networking with other writers, and now there's some opportunities that are being presented to you. Because us into that space. Ms. McQueen, I want to go with you first.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so I have had a great opportunity to work with Wattpad Books to publish my first novel, The Invincible Summer of Juniper Jones, in actual book form, which is really, really cool. And definitely, I don't think that I would have had that opportunity for that story if it hadn't been for Wattpad. You know, it had been a while since I'd posted that story. I think I started sharing it on Wattpad in about 2014, I think. Yeah, because it was before I was in college. And then when I was in college, I kind of took a break from Wattpad. I wasn't really writing that much outside of my like creative writing major. But I was involved with like the Wattpad Stars program, which is for folks who have gathered a pretty significant amount of followers and like readership, and it gives you the opportunity to do like paid writing opportunities and stuff like that. And in my senior year of college, I'd been talking back and forth with folks at Wattpad for the past few years about Stars stuff, and I was on a panel at WattCon, but they reached out to me and were like, hey, like we're starting a physical publishing branch and we want one of your books to be in our batch of books that we're publishing from the site. So that was just like really exciting. I mean, it didn't feel real for a really long time, and it still like sometimes doesn't, even though the book is now like out in the world. But yeah, it was really cool. I think it's definitely a non-traditional approach to publishing, but I think I also really like that. Like I don't have anything to compare it to really, but you know, I was able to work with an editor and go through this whole editing process and all of that, and it was just like really cool to have that experience. And also the care that the team I was working with at Wattpad took with my book, and like making sure that my editor was a Black woman, and that like my talent manager was like always making sure that that you know everything was everything in my book was like always taken care of and in good hands, which is just, it was really cool.
That's pretty awesome. I'm loving your journey. Angel, take us into yours. What opportunities are now presented to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, when I first got onto Wattpad, I always wanted to just be a Wattpad star. I thought it would be so nice to have that little verification next to my name. And so I was invited into the program maybe like 2 years ago, early 2019. And they also offered me the opportunity to put my book, Electric Impulse, Love, Life, and Sex, into the paid program, which was new at the time. And so we have 565 million books on Wattpad. My little book is one of the ones that gets to be a part of that program. It was like an opportunity I couldn't say no to. And then to have Wattpad's backing, to have them push me like with promotions, it just gives your work so much more visibility than you could have just alone. So the journey for me, I mean, I've wanted my book to get bigger. I've been pushing for it to get bigger, and partnering with Wattpad was probably one of the smartest decisions I've made so far in my journey. And the opportunities are still coming, so.
Ms. Ashley Marie, take us into your opportunities.
Sort of similar to Angel, where Off Script got placed in the paid stories program, and that's been going really well. And Wattpad is really good about just hitting up stars for opportunities. Like they did a big thing for Black History Month that we got to be a part. Some of us got to be a part of, and they're just always looking for different ways to get your stuff more out there and provide you opportunities to just reach a bigger audience. So that was one for me. And then, just being featured on the site and everything has been great.
I definitely want to dig into how you ladies became all-stars. Ms. Paula, take us into your opportunities. What has been presented to you, and since your journey with Wattpad so far?
Sure. So for me, because I'm kind of taking a very experimental approach, it's been great to be able to develop my story in the way that's most comfortable for me. So as I said, I sort of conceived of it as a TV show. So, and the fact that they invited me into this paid stories program was incredible, because I think, I'm not sure, but I think I might be the only writer in North America who's generating revenue on a non-optioned, non-produced, non-purchased script. And I thought about that and I was just like, wow, that's really kind of revolutionary. So for an more, I'd say, experimental writer such as myself, I'm developing this story world and this cast of characters that I know will become something someday. Whether Wattpad or wherever, it's coming to life in such an amazing way. But to have those opportunities as I'm developing it is really, really fortunate. And then being a part of STARS and the paid stories program, you also have opportunities for your work to be looked at by their partners, their entertainment partners. So I know that it has a chance to become something bigger on Wattpad, but I'm also very comfortable in the knowledge that I'm developing my own intellectual property. I'm developing my own story world, and I can do something with that. So it's never time wasted. It's the frustrations are all worth it. It's just kind of a great place to develop those ideas.
There are no gatekeepers. That's the thing too. You know, in the publishing world, the agents are the gatekeepers. If they don't like you, you never get past them. But like with Wattpad, you just get out there, put your work out there, and you're the gatekeeper, you know, of your own work. So
exactly, great point.
I love that. So, so are you ladies actually represented by an agent? Do you have representation?
I don't. Daven might. It's something that I know writers who are in the programs who do have representation and still work with Wattpad in terms of publishing their books or the other opportunities. So it's not a hindrance in any way, whether you do or don't. But I think that it can really accelerate your path to success if you don't find an agent or you don't find a manager, because they tend to look at stories a little differently than the traditional route. And I think that that's really encouraging for a lot of writers to be able to kind of get that feedback and get into that world of opportunity without having to, as Angel said, sort of battle against the gatekeepers and just kind of wear yourself out querying and the like.
I definitely queried and queried several books prior to joining Wattpad and have looked for representation, but it's actually been really, it's very, a lot of people are like, oh, okay, I can write this book and I'll query it and it'll get made like right away. But unfortunately, like publishing doesn't work quite as we would like it to. And so it can be a bit harder to get your stuff out there. But like with Wattpad, it's definitely more freeing, you know, to have that autonomy kind of, that you wouldn't necessarily get being published by under a different company or anything like that.
Gotcha.
And I don't have an agent. Oh, sorry.
Okay. No, Queen.
I don't have an agent currently. That's something I'm starting to like look into more and think about more. Now that I have a book out in the like traditional sense, but haven't made moves on that yet.
You never know. That's probably something to think about. Miss Angel?
Yeah, I don't have an agent. I queried in the beginning and it was just an exhaustive process. I even had a really bad experience where there was one agent, he was like one of my top agents, and he was very interested in my work. But when I went to see his website, one of his don't sends was African American literature, and I was just heartbroken. It was it was bad. So I knew once he got my work, he would reject it. It took him 2 months to do what I knew he was going to do, but yeah. So after that, I was like, you know what? I have to find another way. So that's when,
Mm.
for me, it's important to get anyone who's trying to, stop me from my goals, like eliminate that and just go straight to the readers if I can. And so that's what Wattpad did for me.
Wow,
Yeah.
what a journey. Has anyone else had a journey such as where you felt like that was the wrong choice or the wrong connection, and you kind of had to kind of reroute? Did anyone else experience anything like that? Because I think those type of journeys can be encouraging to other writers
Ashley's got a
who
story.
have been, duped, or taken
What's your
advantage
story?
of.
I'm curious. I've been to
All
like
like, yep.
I've been to like a couple writers conferences and things that and you can like pitch to agents, and a lot of them are really nice and well-meaning, but there was this one incident where I came in with the Dragon Shifter novel, and the person had read like the first couple pages and immediately made assumptions that I was a white author based off of some of the things that were in the book. And like, she's like, oh, I'm just surprised. And she was like kind of trying to tell me about race in my own book.
Wow.
Okay. And so it's just, they have certain ideas and things that they picture, although that's very bold to like at least admit on your manuscript wish list of that's something they didn't want. But they have like
Expensive.
they have very like certain ideas of what they think will work. And if it doesn't sort of fit that, you sort of, after you go to enough conferences and you pitch enough, you sort of see that trend and you're like, oh, okay, so yeah.
I think part of the reason is because the publishing industry, they lack diversity. So the diversity in the work, it gets overlooked time and time again. And I did a deep dive into looking into like all of these articles. There's like a super low percentage of Black, agents. And so if you don't have the agents out there, who's going to look for the Black work or the diverse work? Like most of the things that are published are not diverse, and that's the problem. They need to we need to get more Black agents to start, so that Black writers can have more people to query to.
Right. I agree. I totally agree. And so I like how you guys are speaking on diversity, because that has been I would say the roots of the core reasoning behind Black Writers Weekend and our organization AAMBC, which has always been to amplify Black creators or create a platform for us to engage with our readers, but not in a boring, modern traditional way.
Right.
Black Writers Weekend has always been about creating themes and concepts where you can engage with the writer as well as the books. And incorporating films and parties and socials and all kind of things, and even incorporating culinary arts, because I think that creating has so many different ways of telling, stories. And I love food, so why not? So when you guys are talking about, the lack of diversity in publishing, we've been seeing this. I recently saw a hashtag maybe like a month and a half ago called Publishing Paid Me. And this is when everyone was talking about the color lines between the pay gap between Black writers and white writers, and how the gap was pretty, wide. And so everyone was kind of engaging with this hashtag Publishing Paid Me to talk about, the difference and what Black creators are being offered. And then also, as Angel, you just spoke on, Black literary agents are obviously needed to get out there and advocate for us and create those and bridge the gaps for us so that we can have those opportunities. And it seems like Wattpad is one of those, those platforms where it just allows just anyone, to come and just take that risk and open up and, hey, this is kind of like a party for everybody. Come over here and party with us. That'd be great. Come be great over here with us. And then you tell me that then there's a program. Once you come over here and take the risk, we have this program that's going to allow you to earn. And then we have these other opportunities that's going to allow you to, perhaps get a book deal and, get a film deal. So this is kind of like, it can't be that good. Sounds too good to be true.
They are though. They advocate for like different groups. They advocate for the Asian community. They advocate for the Black community, for the LGBTQ. And there's some other letters that are new that I don't know about. But they advocate. They
you learn.
advocate for all the communities. There's like always themes, you know, around it, and they gather up the stories and they promote this stuff. So it's a very inclusive environment.
Agreed.
I agree as well.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like it's like a cool club.
It's a good place.
I love it. I really, really love it. Like I'm jotting down my ideas and stuff. I can't wait. So I would last but not least, I know people are still asking questions. I want to make sure I don't miss any of those. But I want to go into your recent projects. What books do you ladies currently have out that you would like for readers to go and pick up, read, enjoy? Take us into that space. And Ashley, I'll go with you first.
Me? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I feel like, come on, Ashley.
Well, I already mentioned the last Dragon Shifter book is like my most recent project, and I'm trying to get that finished. But so the romance novel Off Script is already in the paid stories program, and there's actually a sequel that I've been supposed to be getting out. But 2020 is hard. I've just been having like a lot of stuff going on, so I haven't had a chance to get that out. But it's called The Bottom Line, and people are asking like every week, like, where is it? So I'm working on it. It's happening, but it's just going to be later. So.
Later when? No, we're not falling for that.
I know.
Later.
I know. They're like, when's later?
My bad. I done put you on the spot and stuff. Okay, she said later, y'all. Okay, so later is soon. Soon-ish, so hopefully soon. Miss Paula, take us into your recent project.
Sure. So The Otherworlders, which is my big work in progress. I'm almost done with season 2, and it's a 3-season arc. So the plan is to start season 3, take a little break, and then work on season 3. So that'll take me probably another year, the way things go. But that's okay, because I love my readers, and they love the story, and we're having a great time. So there's that. And then I have another story called The Descendants, which I actually wrote as a group chat story. I don't know why I always have to write these stories in these experimental formats, but it went really, really well. And it's a short story. So I'm working to expand it. It's actually kind of very ideal in terms of film and TV for sort of the COVID era, because it's something that I thought I'd have to write it in a narrative format and just sort of make it a much bigger story, but it's actually kind of perfect for now, like a Zoom type story or something like that. So I'm really revisiting that and saying, oh, okay, this is the time to kind of really dive into that story and expand it in such a way that it could work in the world that we're in right now.
Right.
Yeah, so that's my next project, and then of course I've got 7,000 ideas that who knows.
Right. I'm gonna pray for you because our brain never sleeps.
Exactly.
Ms. McQueen, take us into your most recent project.
Yeah, so I don't have anything that I'm working on new that's quite ready to share yet, but I do have, again, my book that just came out in June, The Invincible Summer of Juniper Jones. It's also available on Wattpad as a paid story. And you can read the original if you really want to, but I would highly not recommend that. You can also get it in bookstores. So yeah, that's my most recent. It's about race and friendship in the Jim Crow South.
Oh, wow. I want to check that out. I actually saw the cover. I love the artwork. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Miss Angel.
Oh, okay. So my story is Electric Impulse, Love, Life, and Sex, and that's currently in the paid stories program. There is a book 2 that is supposed to get out, but like Ashley, 2020 has been really hard on me. It's entitled Electric Impulse, A Bond Unbreakable. And what the first book is about, it's a series, But the first book is about, it's a coming of age novel about a girl who graduates with one idea of what the world is going to be like. But the night before graduation, everything changes. Her boyfriend dumps her. She has to figure out what life is because she expected that they get married. She has to figure out what life is going to be outside of that. She has to recalibrate her concept of love and life, and so hence the title. But it's about her journey and from becoming, a younger girl to a woman, basically.
I like that. I like the storyline. I think I'm gonna have me some new reads this fall. All right, so let's ask a couple questions. Oh yeah, so how do you ladies do promote your books? Of course, we've talked about Wattpad, but are there other sources and ways that you ladies take to promote your books, even before COVID?
I had character illustrations done because I have a very large multicultural ensemble cast, and it's like a sort of supernatural. It's Buffy meets Harry Potter kind of concept, and it's a really big cast. It's like 9 main characters. So I wanted to really get a sense of what those characters would look like. And so I worked with a concept artist, a character artist, and so I actually have character illustrations for that, and that's been great. I'm not terribly active on Instagram, but I put those on Instagram, and they get a lot of kind of engagement and kind of a good introduction to the story that way.
That's a really good idea, Paula.
Oh,
I am probably going to bite that one. That's
Please
a really
do.
good idea.
Oh my gosh, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. And it helps because Instagram is just not a platform I'm terribly comfortable with. Twitter kind of is my platform, but a lot of readers aren't there. So it gives me a way to engage with younger readers without feeling like I have to constantly post. They really like the illustrations. So
yeah, Instagram is very visual, so that is very fitting.
I actually did illustrations for my Dragon Shifter book as well.
Oh, good. Awesome.
Embedded in the story, like not a ton, but that's a good idea to post them on actual socials as well.
Definitely.
Miss Angel, take us into your approaches. What marketing tactics do you take to promote yourself?
Well, in the beginning, before Wattpad, I tried to publish it on like an ebook form on Amazon and whatnot. I tried to do there were certain like online book companies that do promotions, so I would try to do those promotions. Those weren't that great. So what I do now is just social media. Every once in a while, I'm not like super on it like hardcore, but after these character illustrations, I might get on it like a lot more because then I'll have something to talk about. I'll have more stuff to talk about. I usually like post when I hit a milestone. So when I hit like 1.6 million reads, I post it just to remind people that it's out there. Yeah, just to remind people that it's out there. And then I just engage. I continue to just do what I did before joining the STARS program. I just engage online on Wattpad.
That's great.
Ashley, take us into your process.
Of advertising.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, say it one more time. I missed it.
Of promoting your book. What ways do you also promote your book?
Basically, probably I'm not super active, but I do have a Twitter and I talk about writing and stuff on there, and mainly Wattpad. I am looking to do probably some more promotion of like I wanted to go to, I'm actually in Georgia, so I wanted to go to the Decatur Book Festival, but that's gone now. So I like to actually go out and meet people and actually talk about writing as well, and like writing groups and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, I like doing that too. Which is kind of like the old school way. I've always liked going out to different events and going to book festivals, and it's because it's like our time. Like we're like the rock stars at the event. Like, so I love doing those type of events. Ms. McQueen, take us into your process. What are some things that you've done to promote your book?
Yeah, so I do use social media. Instagram is the only social media I have, so that is primarily what I use. But I've also, I mean, it looks a little bit different now because of COVID, but over the past several months have been doing book promotion through like events like this, events with bookshops where I like will do a reading or do a Q&A, and kind of like the in-person sort of ways of sharing. And then like my parents post everything on Facebook.
They're your marketing team.
I have another question. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Angel. I'm sorry.
Oh, there was one thing that I forgot, and I don't even know how I forgot this because I do this. So I like to be creative in more than one way. A lot of time, well, for the first book, I also released a single to go with it, and then like a lyric music
I know
video.
you, Monica's sister.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, when I posted it into the first chapter of the book as a way to introduce it, and I'm going to do the same thing with the second book. I have another single that's coming out. So I've been pairing the music with the books and just like trying to let those two like be a synergy and promote each other. So that's another thing I do.
I called it. I called it when you first
Very
hit my head
cool.
on the webcam. I was like, this is like a music video. I knew it. Okay, all right. Okay, Monica, I love it. Look like I'm getting like the whole 90s feel. I love it. I love the whole glitter.
Yeah, my music is like it has a 90s R&B vibe, like a Chris Brown, type R&B 90s vibe to it. Yeah.
See, I'm not off at all. I knew I wasn't did that, girl. I got it. I saw all that. That was good. And you told us a little bit about what you're doing next. And let's see if anybody else, you have any books or any projects that you guys are also currently working on, or nope, kind of putting out.
I have a project too. I have a project,
Okay.
and it's like not with books, but I'm just with COVID and with everything that I was seeing. I started a face mask company. It's called altermask.com.
Wow.
The website is getting up, and I've done the research. These face masks give you like a protection that's equivalent to an N95 mask, but then you also have like the fashionable aspect.
Of course.
So I've done that. I'm launching that, and I got the music, and I got the books, and I'm just like, okay, this is all just something that I'm doing. It's part of me, so here you go. Can't help it. So that's another thing. That's like
You go, girl.
Other side project.
Yes, I mean, I am crushing at this. I'm like, you're just all around artist, all around creative. I peeped. I'm so good. I'm telling y'all, I saw it. I kept bringing it back. I'm like, okay.
Join us.
Okay, so let me go to some of the questions because I know people are wanting to make sure they get their questions kind of in, and then we're going to kind of get you ladies contact information, make sure that everyone can find you on social media. I'm definitely going to follow you guys on social media because I'm nosy now. So let's go into, this is a little heavy question here about non-people of color writing characters that are not people of color. So how do you kind of feel about that? Because I kind of feel like if people are writing about goblins and dragons and they're not a dragon, or I wouldn't think that it would be that big of a deal, especially if it's in a book. It's an art form. It's creativity. Like we adapt to different voices and characters and things like that. So I want to get you ladies' feedback. Do you think that that's a bad thing, or you think that's a good thing?
I think it's okay as long as it's not. I think it's okay when you're shedding a good light. But when you're not of a certain race and you're painting people in a bad way, it comes off wrong, like racist.
Right.
So I think, unless you have like positive things to say, you probably shouldn't make that character or do it that way. Yeah. My opinion.
I think you have to do it sensibly and responsibly. But
right.
I'm kind of the viewpoint that you don't have to. I don't necessarily agree that it all has to be positive. But I think you have to have a fairly deep understanding of kind of that dynamic and not present it as, because I grew up in a very multicultural environment, very multiracial. My family's multiracial, school, neighborhood, things like that. And so I do have an intimate knowledge of certain things. Like I'm first generation Caribbean American, and I connect more with first generation, other Chinese American, Indian American, Latino American, doesn't matter. There are certain things that we jive on more so than people of our own race, if that makes sense. It's like we get what it's like to be, to bring your suburban white friend's home and have the house smell of all of these spices that are just very foreign to them and things like that. They're just these little things that you can draw upon. So I think if you do it sensibly and responsibly and try and get feedback from people of those communities and get their reaction. I wrote my first gay character on Wattpad. It wasn't planned. It kind of came out that way. I was terrified. The character happens to be a white male. So, nothing like me. But that was actually a chance for me to get feedback from readers who were gay. And I asked them at one point, I was like, hey guys, this is totally new for me. How did it come across to you? And they were really encouraging. It's like, yeah, no, we love this character. You're handling the storyline really well. And that was a great relief. So it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah, you walk a tight line when you do you cross over into that. So you kind of have to be careful. And I think feedback is really important. You're right about that, Paula.
Yeah.
And Wattpad would be a really good space, for that, to take those risks. Yeah. Anybody else want to give some feedback on that, or everybody kind of agrees?
That was all really good. I think all of that was really good. I think if you take it too far of like, well, you can't write this character if you're this, like it just gets too like restrictive creatively, I think. But I think also the point of making any characters is you have to understand them like on a deep level. So you have to like look at like, okay, so this character might be of a different race than me, but there's more to that character than just that. You got to think about their background and building an actual character around it instead of like making it like a caricature, I think is what people are sometimes afraid of. And also just looking at your worldview versus what biases you might have, from your experience of interacting with a certain group of people. So that's something to pay attention to. And I think that's something that tends to come across that people tend to be bothered by. So I think it's just, they have sensitivity readers and getting feedback from readers and things like that when you sort of branch out, that it's good to pay attention.
Sensitivity readers. I've never heard that term. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm learning so much tonight.
Wattpad also offers the trainings too on how to write different characters. Like they give you
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so does Wattpad offer classes and webinars and things like that too?
We did have a sensitivity training recently, given everything that keeps up.
Primarily for Wattpad stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
they had to keep it, certain.
This
restrictive.
Is pretty cool.
They're conversations that you have. I mean, you learn. There are readers who are very unlike me, and I learn a lot from them. So I think that just in that interaction, if you're sensitive and you're paying attention and you're engaging, you'll learn as a writer kind of how to approach different topics, different characters, different backgrounds. It's a part of becoming a good writer, in my mind.
Right. Yeah. Which again plays into the whole artistry. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I would say too, like representation is great. And I think that, the writing as a field and so many other creative fields are so dominated by white voices that obviously we're trying to push into those spaces, but also I think that folks who have the power right now should also use that to advocate for representation. I think the important thing to remember if you're a non-person of color writing a person of color, if you're a non-Black author writing a Black character, and so on, is that you're representing the character that you're creating. You can build, as Ashley was saying, you build this whole character and their likes and dislikes and their personality. And in your writing, you're representing this character. You're not representing the entire identity. And I think, that feels maybe obvious, especially for those of us who hold these identities that I'm, I might be, when I'm talking about race in my story, I might be using my experiences and extrapolating from that and from what I know from other people, but I'm not speaking for all Black writers, or all Black people. And so I think that's just a really important thing, is that like you can represent your character and you can make them this whole person, but you have to make them a whole person and not just a representation of their identity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very well put.
I want to revise what I said earlier. When I said that it should only be positive, what I really mean is that don't put all your baggage on this other character. You know what I mean? Like, don't put all the negative things in that character and without exploring, like you guys are saying, all of the nuances of who that person is. Like, don't just make that the bad guy. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. It's like, don't do that. Don't just, you know, make someone that's not your race the bad guy. Like, don't do that.
Gotcha.
And ladies, how can people find you on Wattpad? Do you guys have Wattpad handles? Or
Yeah.
okay.
Mine is Paula PDX.
Paula PDX.
Yeah, short for Portland, Oregon. It's sort of the airport code, but that's the one we use.
Okay. Is that where you are?
I am. Yeah.
Oh, I'm definitely going to bug you because I was thinking about taking a trip out that way, but I didn't quite know where to go. And I wanted to do something kind of like, you know, very cabinish, mountainish or whatever. So, okay, I'm going to bug you.
We've got tons of that. So, yeah, hit me up.
All right, cool beans. Miss McQueen, tell us your handle.
My handle is keyframed. Key like a key in a lock, and framed like the picture is framed. I honestly like cannot tell you what the reason for that was.
Right, I'm about to say where that come from.
It's been that way now. Yeah, it's been that way for like 6 years. So I'm just like, I guess this is me.
Right. All right, cool beans. Miss Ashley, what is yours?
Ashley Marie Fiction, just all together.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Something we can remember.
You're so smart about it.
Yeah, something we can remember. Yeah. Let's get to the point. Ashley Marie Fiction. And Angel, where can people find you?
Angel, the author, 320.
Now, is that on Wattpad or is that like on? Because I was looking it up for Instagram and stuff, and I couldn't find it.
It's on Wattpad. It should be Instagram.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Maybe I was trying to multitask because I could have did something wrong. I'm going to look. All right, cool. All right, like any last words that you guys would like to share before we conclude tonight? I'm so excited about just learning so much about Wattpad. I'm thinking about my story. I want to start on there. I'm gonna add y'all, and I'm free. I want some feedback.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Can exchange feedback.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think take advantage of the fact that you can form a direct relationship with your readers, and be patient. It takes time. It takes time to kind of grow on the platform. Yeah, for sure.
I say use your fear. Recognize what it is. It's really just excitement about something that you care about. And so jump off that fear, use it as motivation, get out there and put your work out there and see what people say. And be willing to revise and grow. Be willing for it to be a journey and for it to be a process. It's not a finished thing. So.
Right. I agree.
I would say to also prioritize making friends on the site. It's not social media in the traditional sense, but I think like the friendships that I have with folks on Wattpad are like really, really important to me. And I think, you know, it brings you beyond this idea of it being transactional, just like a read for a read or a comment for a comment, etc. And towards like really building a close-knit community.
I love it. That was good.
Agreed.
I agree with all of that. And Waddies are out right now, coming out right now. Waddies, you know, apply.
The bigger one.
Now, what are the Waddies, by the way, Ashley?
It's their annual book awards that they do, where you can submit your work, and they have different categories. They have like fantasy, romance, all of them different categories. You
oh, cool beans.
And you can submit your work, and then they pick like different winners at I think it's December, right? December, that's when they're going to
end of September, I think. Oh, when they
December
when they
30th.
announce them. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
December. Yeah.
Yeah. Deadline to submit is September 30th.
That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. And then that's almost like a reflection of the AAMBC Literary Awards, which is a part of Black Writers Weekend. It's basically like our Grammys. You dress up, you walk the red carpet. We have presenters, we have a live band, we have live performances. It's in the same studio as BET. We have our stars there.
Oh, wow.
We have our producers there. It's so many different types of people in the room. And so I'm going to be continue my relationship with Wattpad to make sure that we get some more of their all-stars to come and be a part of that experience. So y'all can come out in y'all Sunday's best. You know, like we want to be walking the red carpet too. So
there you go.
I definitely want to send you ladies an invitation to come and be a part next year when COVID is over. Because if COVID is still around in June, like, nah, come on. we jumping off Earth. We going somewhere else. Enough is enough. Can't do this no more.
Right.
But it's continue to be safe, continue to create, and congratulations on everything that you ladies have done. I'm so excited about what Wattpad has been able to do for you guys' journey, and I want to encourage you guys to continue to create and come out and mingle with us next summer.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
And this was so much fun.
I know. We should do this more often. Just definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you, Tamika.